Tonight on the Pat Sajak Show, join Pat and his guests, Dixie Carter, Marsha Warfield, and Eric Braden of The Young and the Restless.
Now, is that a guest list to be proud of or what?
This is CBS.
Good evening, I'm Mitch Jelnick.
And I'm Barbara Wallace. Just ahead here on Newsline 9, some Northwest Oklahoma City residents don't want to share their neighborhood with a mental health facility.
Britain just couldn't handle something like that.
Oklahoma's economy has received some promising news.
And Sooner coach Barry Switzer has received an ultimatum from the university. We'll have details, plus more, next on Newsline 9 Late Edition.
$99. That's right, just $99 for this brass queen-size bed at Evans. Because
All west of the Broadway extension on Memorial Road. Come see us.
Shower gel from Soft Soap. It's a whole new way to work yourself into a lather.
KWTV 9, the spirit of Oklahoma.
Now, the #1 rated newscast in Oklahoma with Jack Bowen, Patty Suarez, Bill Teagan Sports, and Gary England with the weather. This is Newsline 9 Late Edition.
Good evening, I'm Barbara Wallace, filling in for Patty Suarez.
And I'm Mitch Jelnick, sitting in for Jack Bowen. Thanks for joining us tonight. Residents of the Britton community say tonight their neighborhood is quiet, and they want it to stay that way. They are afraid a proposed living center for the mentally ill will disrupt their community. Newsline 9's Kathy Waltz joins us with details. Kathy?
Well, Mitch, residents held a meeting tonight. They're trying to organize and fight the mental health facility from moving into the old Harrison School. The residents' main concern is that the 94 clients won't be adequately supervised, but organizers say there will be plenty of supervision. Britton is a community that considers itself more small town than big city neighborhood. Some of the businesses and residents have been around for decades.
Okay, there's 7, 8, 9, 10. Thanks a lot, sir. Have a nice day.
Lloyd Collins runs Britton Seed and Feed. His business is right across the street from Harrison School. He doesn't want the old building to become a home for the mentally ill. What would be some of your main concerns?
People just running all the town in and out of your business, interfering with your business, and it may hurt our business.
Facility organizers say all people leaving the center must first have permission and must provide a destination and purpose. Kenny White has lived in Britton since 1939. He isn't opposed to a place for the mentally ill to live because his own daughter has had mental problems. He is opposed to the current staffing setup.
I think they need more help and more supervision and fenced in.
Our main concern is that they're talking about a lot of people in the area with very minimum amount of supervision.
Organizers say there will be at least 2 staff people on hand at all times for the 94 tenants who will be screened before being allowed to live here.
We don't house clients who have convictions, who have a criminal record, that we don't take people who are addicted to alcohol or drugs, that we don't house persons who are a danger to themselves or others.
VIP Companies, which is trying to get the center approved, already operates a home for the mentally ill in Norman, and there have been no problems there. Officials offered to attend tonight's meeting. They were told not to bother. The residents and the organizers will see each other April 13th when the Planning Commission makes its decision whether the facility should be allowed to operate Harrison School. Barb?
Thanks, Kathy. Some major changes are coming in the way Oklahoma cares for its citizens who are mentally retarded. And some fear the changes are coming too fast. The closing of the Hissom School in Sand Springs is part of a process that will cut by more than half the number of mentally retarded in public institutions. Today, the Department of Human Services began a series of meetings to decide what will happen to those people.
What we're trying to do with these meetings is to involve the public, the parents, the providers, to give their ideas of how they think the community services could and should be provided.
But some group home operators fear the influx of new clients will force some group home residents into an independent lifestyle they're not suited for. The prosecution's key witness in a capital murder trial is in jail tonight, knowing he'll be in the hot seat tomorrow. Clinton McKimble is expected to testify against co-defendants Clifford Bryson and Marilyn Plants. McKimble admits beating Marilyn's husband, Jim Plants, with a baseball bat. and burning him alive in his pickup truck last August. Today, a witness testified Marilyn Plants and Clifford Bryson tried to hire him to kill Jim Plants. Roderick Ferris says he refused. Another witness, Terry Norman, says he overheard one murder-for-hire conversation.
Should ordinary citizens be allowed to carry concealed firearms in Oklahoma? A lot of state law enforcement agencies say no. A bill before the legislature would allow people who pass a firearms test and who have no serious criminal history to carry weapons. Well, today, the head of the Oklahoma City Fraternal Order of Police told state senators his members oppose the law.
Store there in the state of Oklahoma, I believe that it's a very dangerous bill for the life of those street cops and police officers in general, and the citizens also.
One gun range owner told Newsline 9 many rank-and-file police officers differ from their superiors and prefer to have an armed citizenry. There are no easy answers to the assault weapons crisis. That's the word tonight from President Bush. Meeting with a group of state legislators at the White House today, the president said that Washington alone cannot create the solution.
I'd like to tell you I think the solution can be found right here and that'll solve it, but that's not true. It's going to be found in various ways out in the states, in my view.
Mr. Bush also took the opportunity to defend his membership in the National Rifle Association, but he voiced support for what he calls a constitutionally sound crackdown on semi-automatic weapons.
Want a little good economic news for a change? It looks like real estate prices in the state may have bottomed out. Now they're back on the rise.
If you're in the market for a house, now may be a good time to buy. That's not just hype from realtors. Joe and Julie Gorky have been house hunting for 3 months now. They've been watching the prices and the interest rates.
We were actually going to wait about a year before we bought a home, but we feel like the market right now is picking up slowly, so we decided it'd be a better time to buy right now versus waiting for a year.
And the experts agree. They're seeing a trend that has a lot of realtors smiling. Employment is up in Oklahoma, so fewer residents are leaving the state. And for the first time in 5 years, fewer homes are being repossessed. To top it all off, the values are finally going up instead of down. HUD homes, for instance, are bringing $10,000 more than last year.
Last year, everybody was concerned about buying a house. The value keeps going down. Well, this year, it appears right now today that values have turned around and start to go up.
But they've got a long way to go. Home prices fell 30 to 40% from the good old days, but the worst may now be over.
If things are beginning to level out, the next step is that they're going to begin to appreciate again, and particularly for people who want to move up. In Edmond, they're building a large number of larger homes, and they're selling very rapidly.
If you look at the numbers from this year and last year, there are not nearly as many homes for sale and more people buying, but there are still plenty of bargains on the market.
Union officials in Gulfstream Aerospace continue to talk things over at the bargaining table with only 2 hours remaining on their current contract. Sunday, more than 900 United Auto workers voted to strike if negotiations break down. Gulfstream says it is doing all it can to give employees the best, but says the company is losing money. A union spokesperson says employees will continue to work until talks break down entirely. Well, despite a strike by Continental flight attendants, the airline says tonight it does not expect any problems on flights tomorrow. The strike is getting off to a slow start. This afternoon in Houston, only a couple of flight attendants had walked off the jobs and onto picket lines. The story was similar in Newark, New Jersey, where Continental flight attendants walked beside Eastern machinists who were also on strike. And here in Oklahoma City, no one walked out. Flight crews reported for work as usual. Passengers coming in from Denver told us the weather was more of a headache than the strike.
Airport was packed. Lots of slow down, lots of snow, but I didn't notice anybody picketing or anything. I was only there about 20 minutes.
How was the service on your flight? Any problem?
Great. It was fantastic. Really good.
The union wants a contract calling for higher pay and better benefits. The airline says it has plenty of non-union reserve flight attendants, so no problems are anticipated.
And still to come on Newsline 9 Late Edition, Gary joins us with the weather on this first day of spring.
And Southern Nazarene's women's basketball team comes home a winner.
Some guests who wore out their welcome are finally gone from the state capitol.
And authorities are cracking down on trappers who have been illegally killing endangered wildlife. That story when Late Edition continues.
Homeland! On the condition of critically burned firefighter Benny Zellner. While Zellner has been in intensive care at Baptist Burn Center, his status has remained the same, critical condition. Doctors say he has only a 10% chance of surviving his wounds, but add there's no reason Zellner can't be one of the lucky 10%. National officials are currently in the process of reviewing the minimum standard for firefighters' protective clothing. The National Fire Protection Association issues a revised minimum standard for fire gear every 5 years. And the man who's in charge of writing the current revision also happens to be director of the Oklahoma Firefighters Association. Jim Mink says the group he's working with to write the new national standards has been touched by the tragedy that hit the Oklahoma City Fire Department week before last.
It's kind of like, pull up short here and say, hey, wait a minute, what we're doing is extremely important, and yes, these, people wear these garments, and they need to be fully protected. And I guess it was a redoubling of our efforts to ensure that the firefighter is better protected.
The new standards for protective fire clothing are still several years from being finalized.
Charges have been filed against 175 people in Oklahoma and Texas tonight for trapping and killing dozens of birds protected by state and federal laws. U.S. Fish and Wildlife authorities issued citations this weekend after a 3-month investigation. They discovered more than 400 traps in a 2-state region during that time. Officials say most of the hawks and owls were caught in steel-jawed traps and hung there until they died.
These are on 8, 10, 12-foot poles that are set around the chicken yard. What happens is a hawk or an owl or any other bird that might come along lands on the trap, and that's what happens.
Curry says many of the birds were trapped by gamecock breeders. Gamecocks are bred for fighting, and the breeders claim the owls and hawks were killing their birds. Officials are trying to encourage breeders to capture the endangered birds with padded traps so they can be released in other parts of our state. Well, the exterminator we've told you about, who's been working at the state capitol, says he's forced the ants who've been there for decades to call uncle. Harold Shear was hired on a promise to do away with the pesky varmints that have invaded desks, cabinets, and water fountains at the capitol for years. He put out hundreds of these little bait stations to feed the ants a slow-acting poison. Apparently, it did the trick.
No ants across the computer keyboards, no ants on your desk, and no ants on the credenzas. It's really been great.
Shear says he was now...
These hallowed halls no more. Commercial pest is one. You're out the door.
That was the end of a poem that Mr. Shear had written commemorating this event. And Shear says that he thinks the ants are gone for good, but just in case, he'll be on call for a year.
Just in case.
Those ants have been there for a long time.
I guess he's kind of a hero around the Capitol these days. Sure didn't feel like spring out there today.
A little cool outside.
Definitely a little cool. We'll check with Gary to see what's in store tomorrow.
Stay with us.
Your Pontiac Pack introduces Slim Pickens. Oh, we've got plenty of great 1989 Pontiac, but only 100 were the official cars of the IGA Virginia Slims tournament, and now they're back at your Pontiac dealer. And they can't be sold as new. So hurry. This week, there's lots of variety to choose from. Next week...
Shower gel from Soft Soap. It's a whole new way to work yourself into a lather.
See that man? Well, he's wanted. That's Larry Spencer, legendary Chevy dealer down in Norman. Everybody that sells cars is after him. Seems he's taken over the whole town with Chevy sales. There he lives by the code of the West. You give folks what they want at a fair price, you're going to take over the town. If you don't, you get a posse.
Get what you've wanted, a new Chevy from Larry Spencer Chevrolet in Norman.
Spencer Chevrolet, what a dealer got to be.
I-35 in West Main in Norman.
Yes, believe it or not, today was the first day of spring.
Right?
Yes.
Didn't feel it.
By 9:28 in the morning, we will have had our first full 24 hours of spring. And it's been...
Doesn't feel it.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Feels like winter.
The wind's been
Ugly.
600 miles an hour. Dirt, snow, and rain. Enough is enough. Let's take a look at it at 10 p.m. in Oklahoma City. 35. You know, it was 70 earlier today, but 35 right now. The winds are north at 25, gusting to 35. The relative humidity, 74%. Barometric pressure, 30.28. rising a little bit. We'll check on radar. Snow. The Panhandle has picked up 1 to 3 inches of snow, and they've had some blowing snow and drifting snow. This area of snow is increasing in Beckham and Roger Mills counties, down from Cheyenne, close to Sayre, probably very close to you folks in around the Elk City area. It's getting a little bit bigger. It's trying to move this way. This is trying to move this way, but as it moves northeast, it's also being suppressed on down to the south. But still an opportunity if you need it for some precipitation in the state tonight and for a while tomorrow morning. Then it looks like it'll all be gone. We'll end up with some sunshine late tomorrow with a little bit of luck. Okay, on our numbers this morning. Early this morning we had a 53, and also this morning we had a 70. Of course, we're down to 35 now, but 53 and 70 earlier today. Records are 12 and 92. Normals are, what are they? They're 38 and 62. Presently, it's a bit cloudy, and the winds are still over 30 miles per hour, some gusts close to 40. It's not too nice. It's not too bad. I'd have been 56, but in the 30s. There's been a little snow reported out around Gage. 28 strong northerly winds. We'll tack on the wind and see how this wind chill stacks up. So if you take into consideration the actual temperature and the wind speed, feels like 6 at Gage, 8 at Clinton, 11 at Hobart, 15 out to 12, Lawton, 19 Ardmore, 10's the wind chill in Oklahoma City, 19 in Ponca City, 13 and 11 at Tulsa. The winds will stay up tonight, but gradually decreasing, and tomorrow they'll run 10 to 20, so it'll feel cold all day long, the way it looks. The upper storm system's moving a little bit to the east. Oklahoma's right here. Now, there's a big blob of cloudiness just to our west, and right now it's moving toward Oklahoma. The data suggests it's going to drop just to our south and go through Texas. But once again, anytime you have a storm like this to our west, there is a threat for wintertime weather. And if it should not go through Texas and suddenly move up over Oklahoma, we still could get some significant snow in the state. But right now, it looks like any place it falls through over about the northwestern two-thirds of the state would be an inch somewhere in that vicinity or less. But that could change if that center comes right up over the state. Heavy-duty thunderstorms down in South Texas and also in Arkansas. Presently, right along that front, 33 in Kansas City, snow behind the front up into the Great Lakes, a lot of winter weather warnings in the northeast. It's 30 degrees, not bad right now in Chicago, but it's snowing. Amarillo is 25 and snow and blowing snow. Quite a bit of snow along Interstate 40 through New Mexico at the present time, and in the morning there'll still be some along Interstate 40 to our west, and also in the South Plains of Texas, and back into southwest Texas there's going to be some snow tonight. In fact, winter storm, so you may not want to go into South Texas at least for a while. And for a while tomorrow morning that snow will be going on back to southwest, some of it heavy. West Coast 50s, 60s, and 70s. Dallas tomorrow 48, gray and kind of ugly. Some sunshine in 51 in Kansas City. Rain in the Gulf Coast, cooling off down there, colding off, whatever you want to call it. And some rain, showers, thunderstorms in the east. Okay, 5-day outlook. Around 27 in the morning. Looks like going to be below freezing for several hours. And then if we get the sunshine, as expected, we'll end up about 42. Then 58 Wednesday. Thursday, about 65. Friday, 70. Chance of precipitation again on Friday and Saturday. On the forecast for the state for tonight, some light snow possible northwestern two-thirds, wind strong north, lows in the 20s, a few 30s, rain in the southeastern third tonight. Then for tomorrow in Oklahoma, we'll just go a little on the cold side, precipitation ending, cloud cover will be decreasing, winds north 10 to 20, highs 30s and 40s, and for Oklahoma City vicinity. Some light snow tonight, and they will end up, keep fingers crossed here, end up sunny tomorrow afternoon. Probably got my neck clear out on the block. 27 low, 42 high.
That's real encouraging when the meteorologist says...
When he's crossing his fingers and saying...
Crossing my fingers.
Well, you know, it's so frustrating sometimes.
I know, it's colding off.
It's colding off. Yeah. That's a new, we coin our own words around here.
I know.
And you should not have to worry about spraying the plants with water tonight.
Well, I'm not an expert in that area, but I tell you, if we get down to 27, we're 31, it will be 32 within a couple, 3 hours. So it's going to be several hours below freezing. But I don't know what you do with them when they blossom out. Yeah. I don't know. But I'm not going to be out in the middle of the night spraying my trees.
Okay.
They can tough it out. They've made it for 65 years without me, and I'm not going to worry about them now.
Okay.
What do we have now?
I don't know. Okay. Weather to Chinook winds. Crystal Schaefer, Mrs. Clay, first grade, Pleasant Hill Elementary, Oklahoma City. These kids are getting brighter all the time.
That's right.
They sure
buy me some more reference books. We'll have an answer a little later.
Stock up your library. Thanks, Gary.
Well, still to come on Late Edition, the search for survivors continues off Louisiana's coast.
And a hostage drama ends violently in Arkansas. Details are next on Late Edition.
See your Lincoln Mercury dealer.
You can take all the self-help courses you want. You can attend seminars and meetings. You can join clubs and organizations. But no matter how hard or long you search, you'll never find better answers to the problems of life than the answers you'll find in this book. God wants your life to be filled with joy and success. He tells you how in the Bible. I'm Rod Masteller, inviting you to join us at Putnam City Baptist Church as we study and read this success book.
Two exciting days of information and workshops vital to the physical and emotional health of women. Enjoy exhibits, demonstrations, fashions, and fascinating speakers like Emmy Award winner Linda Gottlieb, producer of Dirty Dancing and co-author of When Smart People Fail. A fabulous 2 days to remember, Friday, March 31st and Saturday, April 1st. Call now for information and reservations. It's a Just For Me weekend, just for you, sponsored by Norman Regional Hospital.
It's here. A game with over 70 million prizes, enough for 1 out of 3 people to win. Scrabble at McDonald's. In a word, you can win. Now at McDonald's, when you play Scrabble at breakfast, you could win once. And you could win once again. Because now at breakfast, you get double game pieces and more chances to win.
Small children waiting for a school bus in Little Rock, Arkansas got the scare of a lifetime today. They became involved in a hostage situation. Their bus stop is outside a convenience store where a gunman took several hostages, including the school kids. The gunman demanded police bring his girlfriend to him within 30 minutes or he'd start shooting.
He kept signaling to us through the window. The amount of time we had, we got down to 2 minutes. As soon as we heard the first shot, we hit the store.
Well, the school kids all escaped, but the store manager was shot by the gunman and is listed in critical condition tonight. The gunman is also listed in critical condition after being shot by police.
7 people are missing tonight. 13 others are injured following last night's explosion and fires on 2 natural gas platforms in the Gulf of Mexico. Workmen were cleaning a line on one of the platforms when the explosion occurred, and fire spread to the adjacent platform. Some crewmen were forced to dive into the sea 30 feet below. Most of the injuries tonight are believed to be minor. The Conservative Party in El Salvador is claiming victory tonight in that nation's presidential race, while left-wing guerrillas are saying the high number of people staying away from the polls make the results invalid. U.S. observers say the election appeared to have been fair, but did also say violence had kept many voters home. 32 people were killed over the weekend as the 2 sides battled in the streets as well as at the polls. The close race shows the right-wing party won with 54% of the vote. Today in Washington, several groups opposed to U.S. policy in El Salvador gathered in front of the State Department to denounce this weekend's election results.
Well, coming up next in sports, Barry Switzer gets a warning.
Plus, Southern Nazarene women's basketball team now has a new title. Bill Teagans is next.
Recently, Car and Driver magazine tested 8 cars under $10,000. They were judged on things like handling, braking, utility, ergonomics, even how much fun they were to drive. And the Volkswagen Golf blew them all away. Now, 4.9% financing is available on all our 88 and 89 Golfs, Jettas, and GTIs.
See Cable Volkswagen in Oklahoma City and Thunderbird Imports in Norman.
Treat your lips with Estee Lauder's new Perfect Lipstick. It's the first ever skincare formula lipstick of its kind. The secret? Inside is a true skincare formula within a weightless web of lasting color. Laboratory tests show that the longer you wear it, the longer your lips stay smooth, moist, and soft in 16 remarkable colors. New Perfect Lipstick. It's the state of the art. Now at Rothschild's, Crossroads, Quail Springs, and Penn Square.
Remember how it used to be when you needed to borrow several $100,000 or even $1 million more? You went to one of the big downtown banks. Well, a lot of things have happened. Times have changed. And the good news is, today, business people from all over the Oklahoma City area are coming to Guarantee. We're now one of the strongest banks in the city. So whether you need a few thousand or even several million, come in and get your share of the good news at either Guarantee Bank location.
generations of Oklahomans have known that when it comes to ice cream, goodness is gilt edge. You can taste how much we care.
Boy, talk about a complete turnaround in a matter of a couple of years.
2 years ago, I think, won 8 games the entire year. This year, I think they're going to finish with 36 wins in the national championship. Lady Redskins of Southern Nazarene tonight captured the National Basketball Championship in the NAIA title game in Kansas City. SNU knocked off Claflin of South Carolina. 98-96 was the final score. Great ball game tonight. Let's look at the highlights. Claflin misses here. The Lady Redskins on the rebound. Shea Ballard brings it quickly down court and gets the layup. She had 7 points tonight. Averill Freeman, SNU's All-American, 26 points, but Katrina Springer had a great game for Coach Bob Hoffman's squad. She hits the jumper right here and finished with 33 points. Great night. The lead changed hands 17 times. The Lady Redskins, though, got the victory tonight. This is the end of the game, 98-96 the final. Another national title for a District 9 team, and then it was celebration time.
It just gives us more visibility, especially where we are in the Oklahoma City area. And we're just excited not only for our program, but for District 9 to keep the streak alive and win 6 out of 9. That's a great tribute to our district and them getting us prepared to play in this national championship.
Men's action. East Central met St. Mary's of Texas for the national title as well. Let's go to Kansas City for the highlights of that one. The game is still going on as we speak. Earlier, though, Vernell Kemp, great game for the Tigers, gets the bucket and the foul as well for East Central. St. Mary's, though, a good ball club. Nice stuff, Major League stuff. Zachary Lawson right there. Now watch this attempt at a bucket. There's one shot at it, 2, 3, 4, 5, and finally they got it there. That is Terry Wilson finally getting the shot to fall. East Central up by 2 at halftime. That's Wayne Cobb, of course, the Tigers head coach. Second half action, a long bomb by Dwayne Godwin, but East Central trails 61-58. 18 seconds to go in that one. We'll try to have a final for you before we leave tonight. NIT tonight, UAB over Richmond by 3. Penn State loses to Villanova. California loses to Connecticut by 1. Ohio State beat Nebraska 85-74. St. Louis over Wisconsin. And Michigan State was better than Wichita State. A lot of coaching changes in college basketball at this time of year. Dayton today fired its coach of 25 years, Don Donaher. He's had 3 straight losing seasons. His lifetime record, 437 wins against just 275 losses. BYU hired longtime assistant Roger Reed as head coach today. He replaces Liddell Anderson, who retired. And Sonny Smith decided to leave Auburn today, head to Virginia Commonwealth. He spent 11 years at Auburn. One of the main reasons, though, he took the job at VCU, reportedly will get $300,000 a year for 5 years. OU coach Barry Switzer has about a year to shape up his team in discipline and academics, or OU will find somebody who can. That's the word from the school's interim president, David Swank. He made those comments today while addressing the Texas Daily Newspaper Association in Austin. Swank said he has confidence, though, that Switzer will turn things around. This is believed to be the first time that anyone publicly has given Switzer a deadline. The NFL owners are meeting in Palm Desert, California this week. One of the main topics of discussion is the sale of the Dallas Cowboys to Jerry Jones.
The Finance Committee is just reviewing things with Mr. Jones, and we have certain procedures for approving any ownership, and they want to get everything in line, all the papers, and he's cooperating, and we would hope we could get it done this week.
I think it'd be very quick. I don't think there's any difficulties.
College baseball, the OSU Cowboys, number 10 this week in the poll. A&M is number 1. The Sooners today defeated Augustana 10-5 in Norman. Pete Rose had all those problems last year with an umpire, may have more serious problems tonight. The AP reports that Rose could face a possible suspension for gambling activities. The commissioner's office confirmed that Rose is being investigated. He won't comment, but the AP, quoting unnamed sources, says the suspension could come later this week. We do have a final now. East Central has lost to St. Mary's, unfortunately, 61-58. Still a great season for Wayne Cobb's team.
That was good. And great night for
Southern
SNU.
Nazarene. Yeah, super.
National champs. Thanks, Bill. Still to come on Late Edition, Gary returns with the answer to his weather question.
And it's time of year to stop and smell the roses, or in this case, the daffodils. We'll explain when we come back.
Evans is expanding the I-40 in Portland store to unparalleled proportions. Walls are falling, so are prices.
We've made the biggest furniture purchases in the history of Oklahoma in anticipation of our grand opening, but the addition has not been completed. This furniture will be arriving soon, and we don't have anywhere to put it. We must make room now. So,
all present stock must go.
Nothing will be held back. Prices have been sacrificed. This is a once-in-a-lifetime savings opportunity because
all present stock must go.
At Evans.
Right now, the cash is really flowing at your Hyundai dealer. It's Hyundai's first ever $1,000 factory cash back deal. Buy a new Excel GLS, the lowest price, best equipped car in its class, and get a check for $1,000 with your name on it. Could be that down payment. Imagine $1,000 factory cash back on America's best-selling import. So hurry into your Hyundai dealer now before Hyundai's $1,000 cash flow runs out. Rush into your nearest Hyundai dealer and go with the big Hyundai cash flow today.
Freedent's the one. If you've got dental work, you've got 3 great reasons to chew Freedent gum. You know Freedent won't stick to your dental work, and Freedent freshens your breath. But maybe you didn't know that Freedent moistens your mouth. So if you hate a dry mouth like I do, chew Freedent.
Freedent's the one that took the stick out of gum, and Freedent moistens your mouth. Yeah, moistens your mouth and freshens your breath while you chew.
Non-stick Freedent moistens your mouth and freshens your breath.
What is it about flowers that makes people drive hundreds of miles just to smell them? Even though it doesn't feel much like the first day of spring here, it does to people at Y Mountain in Arkansas. It is a springtime tradition for people to migrate to the mountain to look at and smell the field of daffodils. There's a 2-week daffodil festival. The only problem is they don't know when they'll bloom or how long they'll last. But once the word is out, it doesn't take people long to take their first breath of Y Mountain.
Unless, of course, they have
really
allergies and then
pretty.
they take their time, I suppose.
I put out a lot of
Had to think of
wildflower seeds a couple years ago. Thousands of them, whole sack full. I guess the birds ate them because nothing
happened.
Nothing
How
bloomed.
discouraging.
Not a green thumb,
It was
I guess.
very discouraging.
And you do gardening tips, huh?
Yeah, I did. It was rough. That was a tip. Cover them up if you put them out, babe. Okay, let's take a look at our question. And this comes in from Crystal Schaefer, Mrs. Clay's first grade class, Pleasant Hill Elementary here in Oklahoma City. What are Chinook winds? Well, Chinook winds, if you lived in Denver or up in Montana, they're warming winds that come down from the mountain down toward the lee of the Rockies, and it's warm, and many times it'll melt the snow very quickly, and sometimes they're a little bit strong and gusty, and they blow pollen with them, and they blow trees down occasionally. But
a few power lines.
A few power lines, but other than that, it's not a bad parameter. It's okay.
So we'll accept them, I
At
suppose.
least there's nothing we can do about it, but that's what it is. It's a warming wind that flows down the mountains.
All right.
Okay.
Good question, Kristen.
Thanks, Gary.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight.
We'll see you tomorrow.
True.
Hairstyles furnished by Salon One. Newsline 9 is the #1 rated newscast in Oklahoma. TV 9, the spirit of Oklahoma.